Hey, everybody, welcome back. Craig Shoup here with George Thomas. If George Thomas is here, that means we are talking movies and streaming and all things pop culture and media. And in the tradition of terrible January releases, we've talked, we've, we've talked about this how many times, George? It's never going to change, is it? January is the dumping month for film, and we're going to talk about some of that today.
I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Shotgun Wedding is the January release. Now, this is an Amazon Prime release. Is it? It's not in theaters, correct?
Correct. That's why I was going to say I don't know if dumping's an accurate word because it's on streaming primarily. I think you got a week in theater or it's theaters or it's getting a week in theaters.
Well, it's got to get that Oscar run, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But part of me thinks of it that it's getting a theatrical run only because of J-Lo and the ego. Yeah,
sure.
You got to keep the diva happy, right?
Got to make sure those Oscar voters get that screening early on in the year for J-Lo's performance, you know. So we've got Jennifer Lopez, we've got Josh Duhamel, a couple of likable people, at least, you know, on screen, you know, they have a presence. You know, maybe it's harsh to call it a dumping because it's on Amazon Prime, but tell us, you know, if Shotgun Wedding is a good Kickstarter for the year of action comedy movies or whatever this thing ends up being.
A good Kickstarter. I don't even know that it's a pleasant diversion.
Ugh.
It's a story of a couple played by Lopez and Duhamel. They're having a destination wedding in the Philippines of all places.
Okay, yeah.
They've flown their family and friends there, blah, 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 blah. Of course, somebody's going to get cold feet, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And of course, there's going to be pirates. You know,
why not, right?
That coming.
George, I tell you, I feel bad for you.
At any rate, you know what? They screened this in a theater too. That's the weird part. You know, Destination Wedding. Cheech Marin, a very subdued, serious, and a comedy even. Cheech Marin plays Lopez's loaded father. And the pirates know he's loaded, so they're trying to extort money from him, from the guest, to free the guests who they're holding hostage. Blah 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 blah. Problem is, they don't have the couple. They don't have Duhamel. They don't have Jennifer Lopez, and therefore they're running rampant, a la Die Hard.
Yeah,
who could have saw that coming, right?
on
the island. Randomly picking off pirates on their way to eventually, you know where this is gonna end up.
Is this one of those? Is this one of those things where you know, they're like past CIA operatives and they're able to just take out these pirates, or do they just all of a sudden become superheroes in this fantasy action world?
To the film's credit, neither.
Okay.
Duhamel's character is a washed-up baseball player contemplating his next move in life. I forget what Lopez's character does. She's a lawyer, and the killings, the successful killings they have and maimings they have are completely random. They're by their luck. So no, to the film's credit, it doesn't resort to that.
Right. Okay, because in the trailers, the trailers make it seem like these, you know, they somehow find a way to elevate whatever skill set they have and, you know, be able to perform action type stuff when it maybe doesn't make sense.
It still doesn't make sense.
Right. This kind of sounds a lot like, and this is a movie, I can't remember I think I probably liked it more than you did last year. But The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, Daniel Radcliffe, where it's kind of the fish out of water action movie.
You know what? If it had been close to that, I could have dug it a little bit. I
Yeah,
wasn't wild about the Lost City, but it had the benefit of had the benefit of Sandra Bullock
yeah.
and Channing Tatum.
And a great cameo from Brad Pitt too,
Yeah.
which helped.
So but I won't say I didn't laugh at a couple spots on
Yeah.
this movie, but it's inevitable. I'm not sure if it's me laughing because it was so stupid or because it was actually actually funny.
Yeah,
There were a couple genuine laughs there. Jennifer Coolidge is in it, which is always
that's great.
which is always a joy. But beyond that, it's like if you've got Amazon Prime, enjoy because you shouldn't spend money on it. This is a this is a way of just make them trying to make some cash back, bottom lining it. So hey,
Yeah. Well, did you? Unfortunately, I'm not sure. Did you write a print review or a
I did
digital
not.
review? Okay.
I'm on writing sabbatical for movies until
Okay.
next week
Okay.
because January is what?
It's the dumping month for movies.
There you go.
What if you were to go into great detail about this plot and amazing acting probably from everybody other than of course Jennifer Coolidge is always great, but what would your final grade be if you were to
A
give
C
this a
minus.
review? Okay.
C minus.
All right. Well, we will hopefully this is not a sign of things to come for the year 2023 because there are some big blockbusters that are scheduled to release. Scorsese's back, so we're excited for some of these 2023 releases. But George, one of the nice kickoffs to 2023 usually, or that new movie season, is Oscar nominations and the forthcoming Oscar program here in March. This one was a little strange. I think there were a few surprises, but in a bad way. I think we talked a little bit last fall about at least one of them with Viola Davis in The Woman King probably being a surefire nomination level performance in that film.
Surprise.
She's not in there. There was a lot of backlash for Danielle Deadweiler, who was in Till, and she didn't get nominated where a lot of people expected her to score a nomination. So are we back to this taking 2 steps forward but then 15 steps back for the Academy with this Oscar so white and just this more male dominated best picture, best director, things like that? Did you get that sense, or do you have a different perspective?
Well, I think that's taking the easy way out. Number one, if I'm being blunt, and I was talking to my son who reviews on a YouTube channel. What was it yesterday? I was talking to my son, and we're going through all the awards DVDs I get sent, and I tried to look at everyone. I went through everything I had, and I just said to him, it was really a crappy year for movies. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I normally don't say that, and I think it's because we're in this post-pandemic era where that 2 years really hurt production. So
Right.
there, the awards campaigns haven't even been that intense this year.
Right.
I mean, there's not a lot that interested me. You've got the stuff that you expected to do well, like the Fablemans. You knew they were going to ignore Spielberg when he was diving deep down into who he
Right.
is and where he came from. Um, I don't get the Best Picture nomination for Avatar. Of course, it's an award for film, so maybe I do, given the technical prowess of the film. But I
Right.
think the Best Picture, and I think all encompassing, meaning film, story, script, everything,
Right.
acting, and it's just, and as far as the one step forward, two steps back thing, no. And here it is. If anything, remember when the years ago, and I don't know how long the top 10, quote unquote, for Best Picture has been around. That came from a controversy of not all the best films getting nominated every year. Maybe
Right.
it's time to look at expanding the number of nominees in the acting categories.
I've said that before. I think that, given I think 7 seems to be a decent
That's
number. Not
reasonable.
10. I don't advocate for 10 directors or 10 actors, actresses, supporting. I think 7 is a solid number. You're not doing too much, but I think you're at least acknowledging the fact that if you're going to have 10 best pictures, you almost automatically have that chunk that's eliminated right then and there, that they don't have the other nominations that are going to maybe elevate it to best picture, best director, a screenplay, sometimes cinematography, but then acting categories. So right now, you know Everything Everywhere All at Once and The Fablemans and Banshees of Inisherin seem to be the three kind of front runners. But some of these actors and actresses that get left out, why not go to 7? That seems like a fair compromise where you're not, oversaturating the categories, but you're doing justice to the fact that you've expanded, the best picture category. And it seems like at this point, I don't know if they had 10 every year the last few years, but it seems like 10 is always the magic number now, when they said that it could be 5 to 10. So it seems like that's just a broad stroke, and just to say we're going to have 10 nominations.
The AFI does their top 10 every year.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's been mostly 10, but there have been a couple years I remember 8 or 9. So,
Right. I think one year the AFI even had TV, like a TV show or something, maybe last year or something.
But was Viola Davis snubbed? Was Detweiler snubbed? I'm not gonna go there. There are a lot of good performances, and I think the Academy has made a concerted effort to diversify. There's still work to be done.
Yeah.
But I don't know, in a category where there's 5 and you have a plethora of great performances, and
Yeah.
it doesn't happen every year, but it happens more often than not, how you can call something a snub. And to me, that's, in this case this year, I think that may be a bit of an overreach. Lots of great performances. They made history on another level, in that the first Asian actress was nominated for best leading performance.
Right.
So I'm no, the Academy still has work to do. Right. Hollywood still has work to do in that regard. It's like anything in this country where bigotry and racism and power structures are involved, the changes come slowly. In the past 10 years or so, it's been coming faster, because that generation behind us is pushing. Let them keep pushing. I, you know, it's tragic that those two performances were not nominated, and maybe that's where expanding the category comes in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just feel like you've expanded the best picture category. I don't think you need to go to 10 in every category, but I feel like 7 is a good odd number like they have with 5, and you're not overdoing it where even in a down year you're going to have like people that get nominated that maybe shouldn't or whatever because you like you said, Avatar and other movies that maybe squeeze into these best picture categories, maybe they're doing it because of the popularity. I think this was one of the all-time highest box office takes for those 10 movies that were nominated. Top Gun Maverick, of course, being the other big, huge box office success. But some of those movies are great popcorn entertainment, and we had a chance to watch Avatar over the weekend in IMAX 3D. It was a beautiful film, and it was well crafted as you would expect from Cameron. But it doesn't have that Oscar level push that you would think certain movies that are getting nominated. But I think that the Academy is trying to generate buzz for watching this program. And even though Steven Spielberg is one of the most popular film directors out there, no one saw The Fabelmans. Very few people saw Tar. And I think there's this push that you need to get popular, entertainment in there. But then I would argue that Nope should have been in there. We watched Nope on Peacock a few weeks ago and really enjoyed, Jordan Peele's film. So, sometimes you just kind of get the sense that the Academy is just plugging popular culture movies into that top 10 instead of saying, let's just have it be that 5 to 10 window. And if there's 10 films that year, that's great. If there's 6, that's fine. If there's 9 or whatever, that's great too. But it just feels like there's this push to do 10 every year from the Academy. And I don't know if that's because of how they've changed voting over the last few years, or if it is just that push to try to generate a wider audience for those Gen Zs, younger millennials that maybe kind of go in and out with their film love.
You know what? Here's something that's funny because they're pandering to a certain degree, trying to get quote unquote movie fans, not film fans,
right?
Movie fans to watch. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're too young to remember. Star Wars was nominated for Best Picture.
Right.
My mother let me stay up to watch the Academy Awards that year, and I was, my love for the original trilogy, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Star Wars is gonna win. It's gonna win. It made the most money. My mother was sitting there laughing at me. I don't remember what won that year. I don't remember. It may have been Kramer versus Kramer. I could be wrong, but that's what I learned my Oscar lesson about that. Most of the time, money doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Now, it just so happens that we have the pandering for television eyes right now. And part of me wonders if ABC had something to do with that. I certainly think rights money had something to do with that.
Yeah.
So, in the here and now, they have to almost do that. They have to mainstream it to a certain degree. And that's a tragedy because I'll die on the hill that Avatar didn't belong there. And because of films like Avatar, and I'm not coming after James Cameron, and I'm not coming after Top Gun, I think we saw a lot fewer smaller films this year. Again, that could be due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna disagree with anyone who says not even the blockbuster mentality, the comic book movie mentality has a lot to do with that. Because I loved Top Gun Maverick because it was a throwback to the blockbusters of my my teen years
Right.
when I didn't have to rely on some dude in a cape. So
Right. I mean, obviously you're amongst the critics that vote for Critics' Choice, and we've seen, not that we care about the Golden Globes, but do you see benefits maybe to having separate categories like they might have? Is that too watered down when you do it that way? Is there something that the Oscars could maybe pull from? I know the Critics' Choice has, best action movie or best this or best that. Is there a way that you can hybrid it, or is it the Oscars is just so esteemed that it can't change its format too drastically?
if I'm with the Academy, I'm not diluting the Oscars in any form. Right now it says the best of the best.
Right.
When you get into those subgenres, I'm sorry. You're diluting everything. So
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
No. And yeah, I vote on the Critics' Choice Awards. I don't necessarily agree with some of the categories we have as an organization, but I'm not very active in the organization. It looks nice having that as
Yeah.
for credibility's sake. And I've been a member since I remember when it was first formed. We were the founder and still president came up with the idea while we were on a press junket. That was over hell. It's about 25 years now.
Yeah.
So, but and awards for comic book movies, no, don't need that.
Right.
No. Have I made my point yet?
No. I mean, I'm not saying I disagree with you at all. It's just sort of this idea that they're trying to mainstream it, but then, like, in a year where you saw way more movies than I did and other people did, and you said this was not a good year for movies, and then we still get the standby 10 movies nominated, and because they want people to watch it, you're probably going to get a new audience for having Top Gun Maverick nominated. You're going to get an audience maybe for I don't know that Avatar moves. It's weird to say this, but I don't know that Avatar would move the needle on Oscar viewing. Like, I can obviously, you can point to the fact that it's made $2 billion. I get that, but I kind of question whether or not Avatar really moves the needle for Gen Z or millennials to be like, yeah, I got to watch the Oscars now, because I don't know that people love Avatar that much to like dive headfirst into watching a 4-hour broadcast about knowing it's not going to win Best Picture.
I think people went to see Avatar, The Way of the Water, because they saw Avatar. That's what I think.
Right.
I think they're invested now, boom. But in any other year did you see Elvis?
I haven't seen it yet. I mean, it's on my queue on HBO Max, but Baz Luhrmann's kind of hit and miss for me.
Well, and see, that's the thing. And I generally like Baz Luhrmann films. Love Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, so do I.
After the first 30 minutes of Moulin Rouge, it took me 30 minutes to like, all right, this guy's trying to do something different. I can appreciate this, because I went into Moulin Rouge not knowing what to expect. But Elvis was very, very Baz. It was very uneven.
Yeah,
there are some genuinely great moments in that movie, but it's very uneven. In any other year, I don't think it gets nominated for Best Picture. I don't.
But doesn't that kind of tie in with what we've seen with, especially like recent musical biopics? Like, I don't remember everybody just beating down the door about how great Rocket Man was, and yet that was, again, sort of the Elvis treatment, where we've got to nominate it, because I mean, I don't remember anybody ever putting it on the top 10 list or anybody really thinking this is the movie, and that was a summer release.
I almost every review I read, I remember people saying this is what the Queen movie should have been, because Rocket Man, for all practical purposes, was a really good movie.
Yeah,
But
I'm not saying it wasn't,
yeah,
but
no, I know, but just to answer your question, a lot of people thought that was a very, very good movie,
right.
and you're right. Yet, wasn't the Queen movie? Or was it just for Best Actor? It was nominated.
Oh no, Bohemian Rhapsody got a slew of
Yeah,
nominations, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. I know it got Best Picture. I know it was nominated for Best Picture. Yeah, Best Picture, Best Actor, Sound Mix, Film Editing, and Sound Editing. Which not a huge haul, but given how most people kind of responded that, man, maybe it's a good performance and a terrible, not so great movie, probably less received than Elvis was, to be honest with you. I think Elvis got a little bit better composite scores from critics than what Bohemian Rhapsody did.
that I'm gonna have to check, but it was right in the same wheelhouse for me.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, any other year that doesn't get nominated. Let's face it, if you're back in 1980, what was it, 7, the year of Top Gun, and you have a time machine and you go forward X number of years, and you're seeing that sequel getting nominated for Best Picture.
Right.
You from 30, 35 years ago is having a flippin' heart attack because Top Gun was critically reviled. And for its sequel to get that kind of, I don't know if we call it respect or notoriety, is so.
It was well received. I mean, and it wasn't just by you, it was by a lot of critics
Yeah.
that really enjoyed it as that throwback entertainment that they had been missing maybe with this Marvel DC
Yeah, I was
universe.
just going to say, let's call it comic book movie fatigue, because
Right.
it was a blockbuster they grew up with. We grew up with. I mean, there used to be variety in blockbusters.
Not anymore. Although I will say this, there are a couple of filmmakers that I truly believe are in that territory. One is firmly inserted, and that's Christopher Nolan. And I think the next one who is in that trajectory there is Jordan Peele, because Nope was an expansive blockbuster picture. Get Out and Us were sort of those under the radar, but Nope just kind of hits you in the face with it, and it does it really, really, really well. And it makes me happy to know that someone like Jordan Peele is out there making the films that he wants to make, just like a Christopher Nolan does, and Spielberg, obviously. But we're talking about the people that not necessarily have been doing it for 40 years, and obviously Nolan's been doing it for a while, but Oppenheimer comes out this summer, and that's a movie,
man.
yeah, and that's a blockbuster movie about a guy making a death machine, essentially, and it's a biopic, for lack of a better, term, but it's a Nolan movie, so you get this sense that it's going to be grand in scale, and it's going to be more than just if another director was handling a biopic of Oppenheimer.
And normally I don't do this, but it's like I so hope it makes a ton of flipping money.
Yeah.
So studios will say, yeah, they'll go see something other than costume characters with whatever angst they have.
But do you get the sense that, and Nope made a good amount of money this year, but do you get the sense though that that's out there? It's just only out there for certain people. Christopher Nolan, not every director that has a great idea is just going to get $200 million or $150 million to just do what he wants to do, or she.
You are correct. But see what bothers me is when they I'll give you a perfect example. The guy who directed Creed 2, Stephen Capel. He's a Clevelander.
Yeah.
It was a beyond competent sequel. It's a sequel I liked very much.
Right.
You know what his next movie is?
Yeah.
The Transformers movie being released this summer.
Okay. Well, yeah.
And see, that's what bothers me.
Yeah.
They get that access to big time cash, and hopefully Capel will do well with Transformers and just move on.
Right.
And go back to doing something with some, and I shouldn't prejudge, with some meat on its bones. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something
Yeah.
with depth. And like I said, I loved the first Creed film. I really liked the second Creed film, and I think God, I shouldn't forget his name.
Michael B. Jordan or Coogler, Ryan Coogler.
Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's ready. I think he's ready to get back to those.
Yeah.
He's got the clout now to where he can get back to those roots and do stuff he wants to do.
Yeah. Well, he did Black Panther and made $1 billion with Black Panther. And, you get to a point, we've talked about this before, where, you've got to do the studio job to get the money and to get the clout to be able to go back and make whatever movie you want to make after that, whether it's a blockbuster or, whatever it may be. But, it's tough because, like you said with Capel, you get into this Transformers money. And if the movie is successful, which it probably will make some money, I would think, it'll probably make a profit. And if it's better than what you would expect to, especially from the recent Transformer sequels, he may get that green light to keep doing more Transformers movies. And then it's like, well, how do you say no to that?
No.
Well, you can't. But it's hard. It's hard to say that, because if he goes to the studio and says, well, I want to be like the Christopher Nolan of this, brand. And they say, well, you only made money because you made a Transformers movie and you had a built-in audience. So that's their catch, is that when you go elevating to that studio film level, it's hard, I think, for you to get away from that. You're almost typecasted as a director, where now you're saying, well, I made a lot of money doing X, Y, and Z. Ryan Coogler can say, I made a lot of money with Black Panther, and then they'll say, yeah, you had a built-in Marvel audience that you were guaranteed to make a bunch of money. So show me why you deserve a big project that's not a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
You know what? If I'm Ryan Coogler and they come at me with that, I'm like, it's a black film. There's no guarantee.
That's true. That's true. That's an argument. That's certainly an argument to be made. Yeah. Well, anything? Have you watched anything? I know we talked a little bit before about some of the stuff you're watching. What are you catching up on? Anything you're watching in advance?
Well, I just told you the Paramount was nice enough to send me Picard. But You know what? One other thing I want to talk about.
Sure.
Shrinking, Jason Segel comedy.
Yeah.
Which debuts on
Apple TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus this weekend.
Yeah. Harrison Ford too.
And Harrison Ford steals every freaking scene he's in. You know what? Han Solo and Indiana Jones has made us forget how good of an actor Harrison Ford is.
Right.
And this series is about a shrink who's widowed, relatively young. He's early 40s, got a teenage daughter, but his wife dies in a car accident. He checks out for a year. And he starts to realize he has to check back in, only to discover that his life around him is not going to be as easy to reclaim. And it's about the people around him who are not broken, but everybody's dealing with something.
Right.
And the way I've watched 4 episodes of it, the way they're tying everything together is positively brilliant.
Okay.
And I'm digging it right now.
Awesome.
So check that out. Harrison Ford is absolutely brilliant in it.
Have you seen The Last of Us? Have you been watching The Last of Us on HBO?
I have no interest in that. No.
Okay, fair enough. I haven't started it yet, but I was curious to see.
You know what? I have this bias when I hear the words based on the video game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and then I saw the pictures of the mutated humans, and it's like, hey, they look like something out of a 50s B movie. Wow. Yeah. And they're hideous too. It's just, it looks like something out of Mars Attacks.
That's not great. That's not great.
So, I've had zero interest in that.
Okay. What about one show that I'm interested in? It kind of hit me in the face because I don't watch Peacock a ton, but we've kind of been watching a little bit Law and Order SVU, so I've been getting a lot of advertisements. Is for Poker Face, the Ryan Johnson series with Natasha Lyonne. Have you seen any of that yet, or interested in that?
That's on the list to check out.
Okay,
it's absolutely on the list. It's like there's certain things like they show up and it's like, yeah, I'll get to that, and then a studio sends you something you absolutely want to see,
right?
Like today, and then I had a radio hit earlier today, and earlier in the week I was scrambling because couldn't just be that J-Lo Josh Duhamel movie.
Why not? You're telling me that Shotgun Wedding's not going to be among the 10 best pictures in 2024?
That might not be among the best movies of 2,500. So
I'm sure it'll crack the top 10 list if it did get the theatrical release. So Oscars 2024 campaign is already off to a start for J-Lo, Josh Duhamel, and Shotgun Wedding.
Yeah, but Apple TV was nice enough to send Shrinking on like 2 hours notice. So Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, do you have anything coming up? I know we're slowly getting out of the terrible month of movie month.
You know what?
Coming up?
The only thing, the first week of February is shaping up to be not great either. Yeah. 80s for Brady's.
Oh, geez, yeah. Even if you watch that, I don't want to talk about that movie.
Fair enough.
I really don't want to talk about that movie.
But you know what looks interesting this weekend? You People, which is a reverse Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Oh, yeah, Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill and Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
So I think I'm checking it out Saturday night.
Okay.
I was having coconut shrimp in a movie, but we're going out to dinner, and I guess we'll do a movie after. But,
Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. I'm sure we'll get back at it, whether it's next week or the week after. George, as always, appreciate your time. Once your moratorium on terrible movie month ends, you can all check out George's reviews at beaconjournal.com. Follow George at By George Thomas. George, as always, fun talking movies with you. I'm sure we'll get back at it soon enough.
Oh, the Oscars will be coming up sooner than we know.
Very much, yes, absolutely. We'll have to get some predictions from you.
Have to get some predictions from you.
I will do my best.
I'll make a pact with you to try and see as much as I can before the award show.
Well, yeah, I mean, same here, but I am extremely excited to see Tar. Didn't get a chance to see it in theaters. I love Todd Field, so I can't wait to see Tar whenever it premieres on Peacock. I have no clue when it's coming. I was just told that it's coming, and I'm like, sign me up day one. So I'm excited to see Tar because I love Todd Field.
All right.
All right. We'll talk to you next
great.
week.
Tara's definitely great. So, hey.
Absolutely. All right, George, we will talk next week.
All right, sir.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Mooney. Welcome to what is our new Hope Interrupted podcast based on the work from our book, Hope Interrupted, that I co-authored with my good friend Byron McCauley.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm looking forward to this podcast as much as I was looking forward to writing this book with you. We hope to interview some high impact folks as well as have a little fun.
We're going to cover stories of hope. To learn more about our podcast and our book, please visit www.hopeinterrupted.com.